Alright folks, welcome back to Let's Play A Mind Forever Voyaging. I'm the Mysterious JG. We are a computer, and we have been running a simulation of some kind of conservative plan for lowering taxes and being tough on crime and doing other conservative types of things. And from what we can see in the simulation, things seem okay. We've got a lovely wife. I don't know if we can give the conservatives credit for that, but people weren't tearing each other apart in the streets. We did see police arresting students, but students do commit crimes. And there was a sort of police state military base that we weren't allowed into, but the guy was polite about it, and overall it seemed like things were okay. The newspaper said that the economy was doing much better than it is doing in 2031, so I'd say it looks like things are pretty good. Let's list locations again. Okay, so PEOF is really the big one you need to remember. You're watching the World News Network, and today our guest on the Newsmaker Nook is Holy Keeper Sergei Korn, a priest of the Church of God's Word, the group which has been occupying the Greens Park Radio Telescope facility in Arizona. Your Holiness, welcome. Regarding Greens Peak, could you explain the reason for your takeover? Korn nods impassively. The mount is the world's ear for the revealed Word of God. Only our leader, the divinely inspired Ellis Vincent, can interpret these messages. We cannot let unbelievers distort their meaning or destroy the holy ear. He's Sergei. Z. Time passes. Your Holiness, the occupation of Greens Park is now in its third year, and attempts at dislodging seem hopelessly tied up in court. Do you see the Church of God's Word holding the Greens Peak permanently? The Holy Keeper's eyes burn. Of this there is no doubt. We have purged the mountain of unbelievers, and each day we cleanse more and more of their unholy things. We have begun construction of the temple there, from whence the keepers may broadcast their word to the world. The keepers, you mean those guys from Mass Effect who do maintenance on the Citadel? No, probably doesn't mean that. One final question, Your Holiness. Do you and your fellow church members worry that the world sees you as a band of lunatics or religious fringe cult? That doesn't seem like a very neutral question. Korn looks incensed for a moment, but then answers calmly. A foul and vile impression, born on the poisonous tongues of unbelievers and nourished by your unholy enemies. Our unholy enemies, I should say. Do you know that we have churches in 13 cities, and that 15 more will be formed this year? Do you know that 16,000 believers made pilgrimages to the mount last year? We will be called what we will be called, but we will continue to obey and deliver the word. The anchorman thanks the priest before returning towards the camera. That was the Holy Keeper Sergei Korn of the Church of God's Word. A woman washing dishes looks up as a voice says, "Still washing dishes the same old-fashioned way?" She nods. Lots of people are switching to Miracle-Ware, disposable pots and pans. Isn't it worth a few cents a night to be able to relax after dinner instead of scrubbing the night away? She nods. Buy Miracle-Ware and throw your troubles away. Wow. Disposable pots and pans. Time passes. Here's Tom Slayton with the Sports Roundup. Tom, a massively built man, obviously an ex-jock, appears in front of the graphic of a foot kicking a soccer ball. His voice is a friendly Midwestern drawl. Howdy, sports fans. The Omaha Gold top the Illinois Towers with a lopsided 6-1 victory. That win propels them into the Southwest Division quarterfinals. Their first game against the San Francisco Gazelles will be March 22nd. I think Steve Meretzky might be having a little joke here. The idea that soccer is the leading thing on the sports news. In other sports news, a report from the Vancouver Kings that star fullback Alex Masterson's strained ligament would be healed for the team's first quarterfinal game on Sunday seems to have been premature. Lanazone treatments have failed to reduce the swelling. Masterson is hoping to be ready for the third game of the 7-game series. I'm waiting for something to happen. Figure if I keep listening to the news, eventually they will call us in and tell us what they thought of the info we observed. I'm not just reading this for fun at this point. Negotiations between the baseball owners and the players' union broke off yesterday amid reports that two sides were still far apart on the issue of a new profit-sharing formula. The players have vowed to go on strike when the regular season opens next week unless a new contract is signed. I don't know what was going on in baseball in 1985, but this seems like it's right on the money. Soccer Commissioner Hal Tavarin has approved an 8-team expansion proposal that would add 2 new teams to each division. The cities that have received the new teams have yet to be determined, but Grand Rapids and Calgary have been lobbying hard for a franchise. That's the sports news for today, Bob. Camera switches the Anchorman. Thanks, Tom. Today's edition of the Video Mechanic with Sam Severinson is sponsored by Sparkle Oil, and Sam will be talking about low-cost map modules. But first, this message. A popular video star is sandy hair tousled by a brisk wind. Tousled. Stands next to a sporty sky car. When I'm not working on a picture, I'm usually behind the wheel of one of my cars. Hi, I'm Maxim. I fly to relax, so I want my flying to be worry-free. That's why I use Sparkle Oil. It's simply the best you can buy, but you'd never know it from the price. Sparkle Oil, simply the best. He clambers into the sky car and waves towards the camera as he zooms away. Now here's the video mechanic himself, Sam Severinson. The camera switches to a smiling middle-aged man dressed in a spotless mechanic smock. When you buy a car, you usually have a choice of a map module that includes only your local region or a wide area map module is an expensive option. But there's a third choice you might not know about. I've been giving him the same voice as the president. A map module supplies the car's electric guidance system with vital information about an area's geographical features and traffic patterns. And I'm going to, at this point, assume he's one of the car guys. So, a map module supplies the car's electronic guidance systems with information about an area's geographical features and traffic patterns. Virtually all states prohibit of flying a sky car without a current map module for the local area. Being no more than 3 years since the last date update. Sorry. Well, that's going to kill my voice if I keep doing that. So let's drop the fake car guy. I'm not really doing anything funny anyway. Let's give him one more chance. Yeah, he's not really talking about anything very funny. I'm not going to read this. It's just kind of, talking about their sky cars pee off. Dr. Perelman's office. This is an office of your creator. We've already read this. Let's sleep at this point. A message begins coming over the message line. Prism, this is Perelman. Please come by to my office. Activate the communication port there. Well, you know what I'm trying to say. As soon as possible, please. Soon as we go to sleep. Wake up. Oh, we haven't left sleep mode yet. Fine. Pee off. Entering communications mode is a prerequisite for activating this outlet. God damn it. Enter communications mode. Freaking game. Pee off. Wait. Perlman walks into the office and spots the active light on your communication unit immediately. Hello, Prism, he says, sitting down at his desk. It looks like you beat me here. Give me a moment, please. He begins quickly jotting a few notes onto a pad. Perlman looks up. Prism, overall a fine job in the simulation. I hate to be a nooge, but we just finished viewing the recordings and there's one omission. Let's see. Oh, right. Visiting a power generating facility. I forgot about that. Could you go back into simulation mode and make that one additional recording? Save. Perelman. No. Perelman looks unhappy. I'm counting on you. Perelman. Okay. Perelman smiles warmly. Prism, I'd love to chat, but I've got a stack of paperwork. Whatever. I don't feel like having been mean to him really was that useful. Perelman is sitting at his desk, absent-mindedly playing with a pencil. Enter simulation. We forgot one thing, folks. Why didn't you guys write to me and tell me we forgot about that? Oh, that's right, because none of this has been posted yet. Orange 86. California 86. Think about it, sting. Sorry. Channeling the Shockmaster there. Who would want to see you, a broken, defeated man? Sting. A long time has passed. JJ has no solid reason for doing this voice. It's just something to do to keep himself amused while looking up the passcode. Okay, Kennedy Park. We're back in the simulation. This is a small downtown park with gates leading north. Blah, 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 blah. We know all this. Alright, let's go to the map. We want to go to the power station. Power station is probably in the industrial section of town, which is in the southeast. I don't remember having gotten here before, but I must have done with record on, because last night I had gotten just a little bit farther than we are now, before I figured I knew enough about how to play the game and let it go. So I'm going to want to go southeast, south, east, south, southeast, southeast, south, southeast, south, southeast, south, east, south, southeast, southeast, south. What are the odds I'll get that right? Southeast brings us to Elm and Kennedy. We've already been, so I won't reread it. South brings us to Southwest and Kennedy, which I think we've probably read. East brings us to Southway and River, which I don't think we've been to. Here at River Street, Southway ends its long trip from the western suburbs. South of here, the street bends towards the river. To the southwest are some brick houses, and a car lot occupies the northwest corner. Along the east side of the street is a huge construction site. The sun beating down warmly on you has reached its midday apex. A skycopter drones by far overhead and disappears into the distance. If anyone's curious, if you try to go outside the borders of the simulation, in some areas like the military base, you'll never be able to get on that base. You're always stopped by a guard. You are, after all, not like some kind of action badass who's going to be able to sneak past them. You're just a guy. If you go someplace where you're at the edge of the in-game world and it shouldn't be the end, you should be able to continue going in that direction. This game, conveniently, has the ability, reasonably, to simply say you have reached the end of the simulation. So it's not like Fallout. It's always kind of tricky. You should be able to continue, and the game is honest about it. It says, like, you have reached the end of the map or whatever. But yeah, you just keep walking in place in open space, and it won't let you go any farther. And of course, we're used to in RPGs, well, there's generally, if you get an airship or something, you can fly, you can circumnavigate the world. But in other games like that, you tend to reach like a mountain range that you just can't get over or something silly. Anyway, skycopter drones by far overhead, disappears in the distance. Let's go southeast. There's no opening of the perimeter fence. Sorry, east. Construction site. The work in this huge site is still in the foundation phase. The sign reads Hyman Village 2. Hyman. City within a city. Opening July 8, 2042. You can leave the site to the west or southwest. I don't remember where... no, this can't be right. We gotta be at the wrong location here. Car alarm shrieks momentarily, then trails off into a merciful silence. South. Bend. Indiana. South to Bend. River Street curves here, heading downtown to the north and under an old railroad bridge to the southeast. To the northeast is an opening and a tall fence, a row of stores around the curve on the other side of the street, a laundromat to the west, a pharmacy to the southwest, and a hardware store to the south. South, hardware store. You've entered a large hardware store, well stocked with various tools and hardware, as well as stuff for home improvement, home entertainment facilities, sky cars, and so forth. The front door is on the north side of the store. By Hammer. The clerk says, all out, try again in a couple of weeks. Buy Crowbar. The clerk says, all out, try again in a couple of weeks. Buy anything. I don't know the word anything. North. Southeast. Wicker and River. You have crossed the proverbial railroad tracks. The optimism and economic recovery don't seem to have spilled over into this rundown section of Rockville, near the river. Wicker Drive, which runs northeast to southwest, cuts perpendicularly across River Street here. To the northwest, River dips under an unused rail bridge. There are factories on the northern and eastern corners. To the west is a dingy warehouse, and south of here are some dilapidated apartments. There's a smell of stale urine. The smell of stale urine wafts from a stairway leading down to a gloomy tube station. Let's go west into the warehouse. Warehouse. You are standing at the front entrance of an old warehouse whose walls are coated with soot from the nearby factories. The door is locked. The street is east of here. Unlocked door. With the key. You can't be serious. East, northwest, south. This is something I saw in the Invisiclues. It's supposed to be funny, apparently. Buy Crowbar after you've tried to get into the warehouse. Okay, never mind. If it was funny, we didn't do it right. Tenement. You are in the lobby of a rundown apartment building. These apartments were probably considered desirable when constructed during the latter part of the last century, but with the encroachment of the factories and the utility stations, the building, like the entire area, has become a slum. The lobby has exits to the north, east, and west. East? Power station entrance. We must deploy more guard boss to protect the power station. You are on River Street at the entrance of the utility station, which lies to the south. The street continues southeast towards the River Street Bridge. Northeast of here is the entrance to a huge factory complex, and tenements line the street to the west and southwest. Record on. That should be on, not O. Record feature activated. South. The power station. This is the central power station for all of Rockville. Power is generated here by fusion reactors and is received here from distant generators by a huge array of microwave receivers. The main entrance is on the north side of the plant. Ooh, 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 ooh. Who wants to guess? I have not played ahead in the simulations past this. I spent like 2 minutes wandering around in the next simulation, but there's a couple of different future views that we can get. Who wants to bet the power station blows up? Raise your hand. Who thinks that one of the dystopian future things we're going to uncover is a power station blowing up? I don't know it's going to be dystopian. I just have a hunch that the game will be very interesting unless it gets dark. But yeah, place bets now on whether this power station will suffer a meltdown at some point in the future when we do this projection. At any rate, exit simulation. P off. Wait. A message begins coming over the message line. Perlman to Prism, private line, no storage. We're getting ready to review your new recordings. I hope everything's there this time. Dick. It's easy. Perlman to Prism, private line, no storage. Please meet at the communications outlet in my office right away. Perlman walks into the office and spots the active light on your communication unit immediately. Hello, Prism, he says, sitting down at his desk. It looks like you've beat me here. It looks like I'm saying exactly the same thing as before. Give me a moment, please. He begins quietly jotting a few notes on the pad. Perlman looks up, smiling. An excellent job, Prism. We've just finished viewing your recordings, and the experts were quite pleased. He pauses. Excuse me. As though realizing something for the first time. In fact, I thought they looked pretty good myself. I suppose this means the plan will get adopted. What's next for you, I wonder? You're going to be a hero, you know. You'd probably get a call from the president congratulating you, except, of course, that he's against the plan. Perlman notices a paper on his desk. Oh, apparently the simulation controller generated a lot of new data correlations while running your simulation. I'm not sure what the effect of that will be. Might make an even more accurate simulation possible. Well, I've got another meeting now, as usual. Once again, thanks for not letting me down. Perlman leaves. Hit any key to continue. Part 2. Deep into that darkness peering, long I stood there, wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. Edgar Allan Poe. You've entered communications mode. Okay. So, apparently, time has passed. I don't remember what date it was previously. I could go back at my own videos and look, but I haven't actually put them together yet. I'm doing approximately a 90-minute recording session to get 3 30-minute videos down before I start syncing and working. And we're coming to near the end of that, so I won't have to wonder for too long. But I'm thinking like a day is probably meant to have passed, or maybe more. But now we're just kind of hanging out. Our mission's accomplished, but the game hasn't ended. There was definitely a question in the Invisiclues book about what you're supposed to do in Part 2. But I'm thinking it probably involves playing around with the simulations some more. Because, Perlman, to me, I might be reading into it, reading between the lines, but it didn't seem like he was that thrilled to see the plan getting adopted. Certainly, some of the stuff they were talking about seemed a little iffy, but it seemed like, all in all, things were a little bit better 10 years from now than they are now. But he also said that they could probably do a further projection. So I won't beat around the bush anymore. In fact, what we're meant to do is go back into the simulation and project farther into the future and examine how the plan will impact the USNA, or whatever the heck we're called, UNSA, the unidentified new super assassins. Little joke for Bobo there, Mysterious Bobo. No, yeah, but whatever our like future America land is, that also probably includes Canada. It sounds like possibly Mexico. I think we're supposed to project into like 2051 now. But for right now, let's go to library mode and see if we've got any new data to chew over. Enter library mode. Perlman personal, current events, plan data, Prism interfaces. Just check and see if anything has changed. Doesn't look like it so far. Current events changed at all? No. Plan data changed? Not really. Okay, doesn't look like there's anything new to do in library mode. So let's exit. Exit. Let's go to the news feed. Here's Tom Sladen with the Sports Roundup. Doesn't look like this has changed. It's the same sports news. So, okay, maybe time hasn't passed. Alright, well, let's just jump straight into simulation mode then. Enter. I typed simulation mode for anyone not watching the screen. There was no verb in that sentence. What do you think I meant? I think I meant like skull. Well, never mind. I was going to use a swear word, and I think I have managed to avoid doing that so far in this. I always try in a LP that I know will not have adult elements in it to be, you know, kind of not using bad language, but it doesn't usually work out. Enter simulation mode. Simulation mode is a class 1 security mode. For access, enter the security code corresponding to yellow 91. I can do that. I'm your Huckleberry. Yellow 91. Thanks again to Jim Lay. I don't know how to pronounce your name, and I apologize if I'm getting it wrong. Lay. Something, 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 something. What is it? 71, I thought that said. 91. I don't know if it's that I can't read or if it's that I have no short-term memory. Either way, the code is 31. Simulations are available for 10 and 20 years into the future. Please select simulation year 2051. So we could try doing the same things we did last time and recording them and seeing what Perlman thinks. You are now at the tube station. We don't start at the same place. You are on a platform between two sets of tracks which lie to the northwest and southeast. On the wall is a brown sign which reads Elm Street and University Avenue. A stairway leads out of the station. So let's wait for a train. A brown tube car marked University whooshes into the station on the southeast set of tracks. As the sign changes to airport, the doors open and people begin boarding and debarking. Enter tube car. This is a typical tube car, moderately clean and with a splash of graffiti. Oh, they were graffiti-free 10 years ago. The doors of the car are open. Record on. Record feature activated. Z. The doors of the brown tube car slide shut, and it glides out of the station in the same direction that it came from. Record off. The car comes to a shop, and they slide. We're now at the Skybus terminal station. Get out. Or at the tricks for the brand, blah, 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 blah. I don't feel like reading this. They're describing the tube station, basically the different lines that we can get on. We're not going to use that much, though. When we go out of the station, we get to Skybus terminals. Where is Skybus? Skybuses depart from this terminal for many suburban points. The boarding platforms lie to the northwest, and the east to the street. The exit to the street is southeast. A stairway leads downwards. Southeast. Main and Kennedy. This is the heart of the downtown area, flanked by classical glass and steel skyscrapers. The Skybus terminal is on the northwest corner. To the southwest is an entrance to Kennedy Park. The skyscraper on the northeast corner is one of Rockville's most famous landmarks, the Infotech Building. This 130-story office tower is the tallest building in the city and the 6th tallest in the world. The high-rise building on the southeast corner is the Silicorp Building, a tall office tower. From this intersection, Main Street runs east and west, and Kennedy Street can take you north or south. And there's lunchtime crowds. Let's go west. Rockville Center, the name of the plaza tells it all. The aging portico of City Hall stretches along the west side of the plaza, and Dunbar's lies on the southeast corner. Park Street has north and south. Main Street and Center Street both begin here, leading eastward and northeastward, respectively. West, City Hall. The city seat of government is an old concrete slab building dating back to the late 20th century. The only exit is east. A government official is sitting on a bench in the center of the lobby eating a snack. Record on. Official. Hello. You have a brief chat with a government official who grumpily complains that most of his department has been laid off as city services are cut back. Suddenly notices the time, looks frightened, and rushes away. He looks frightened. Record off. That makes me a little uneasy. So we were at City Hall. I guess if we go east, south, and northwest, we can do the court thing again. East. A dog runs up to you barking and vanishes into the crowd. South. This is the intersection of the north, blah, 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 blah. Nothing particularly exciting going on here. Record on. Northwest. The courthouse is on the same vintage as the other government buildings in the area, dating to around 1990 or so. An exit leads southeast. The court is in session. 2 men face the death penalty for attempted rape. Attempted rape is not a good and nice thing. Let me go on the record here. I know it's a controversial position, but I'm going to go on the record as being against rape. However, the death penalty for attempted rape, well, that's open to debate, I suppose. It's not like it's the death penalty for disagreeing with Big Brother. It's a bad thing they did, but record off, southeast, south, and west. I'm going to go ahead and visit the house, visit the homestead. Not reading all the descriptions unless I notice something changing. I haven't noticed any changes here, so we're going to unlock the door, assuming we live at the same place. Okay. Unlock door to our apartment and go north. And I'll probably turn on the recording here, record on. But first, this is the large living area of your apartment with a bedroom to the north and a kitchen to the east. The front door of the apartment next to the couch on the south wall is open. A huge window provides a panoramic view to the west. Jill's current artistic endeavor, an acrylide painting, is on her easel, near the entrance to the kitchen. In one corner is the old word processor where you do your writing. There's a romance novel here. A thin partition separates Mitchell's sleeping area from the rest of the living room. So Mitchell would be... We don't know exactly how old he was in the last one. He was still on formula. I'm not an expert, but I would say that would make him, I guess, less than a year. So he's between 10 and 11 at this point, presumably. And he doesn't have his own room. He has a sleeping area in the living room, but he does not appear to be present. Jill enters from the kitchen. "Hi, hon, you're home early." She kisses you before returning to the kitchen. Record on. Look at sleeping area. See if Mitchell is in there. I don't know the word sleeping. Look at Mitchell. Mom, Mitchell. You can't see Mitchell here. East into the kitchen. This is the tiny kitchen of your apartment. Next to the sink is a small refrigerator along the western wall. Next to the doorway to the living area is a dinette set. Jill is sitting at the table nibbling on a salad. Kiss Jill. Jill kisses you back. "Ooh la la," she says afterwards. West. Living room. Romance novel. Let's look at the painting. The painting in vibrant acrylide colors depicts workers in a space factory hovering above machinery, sipping coffee tubes. A crescent Earth dominates the view through a domed canopy. It is Jill's most mature work to date. You hear a commotion in the hallway, and then a half-dozen border security force officers storm in, rifles ready. You freeze as they tramp about the apartment, wielding rad detectors. After a few nightmare minutes, they seem satisfied and begin to file out. The apparent leader turns to you. "Sorry for the inconvenience," he says apologetically. "You know how things are. We're only doing it for your own protection." He closes the door behind him. You hear sobbing and turn to see Jill crying in the corner of the living room. Hold Jill. As you hug her and stroke her back, Jill calms down noticeably. Record off. Okay. Well, I mean, I think I sort of already guessed it was going in this direction based on the fact that the game wouldn't be that interesting if it was just, well, computer gamers, I mean, computer games have embraced a large community now, but at this time, they kind of were still for computer geeks to an extent. It was just getting commercial. I hadn't really got there yet. Didn't have the bells and whistles like, if I can just sound like a completely elitist, jerk for a moment. There are games out there that your average troglodyte can play. The kind of guys who would never, and girls, I suppose, but mostly I'm thinking of guys like back when you were in high school. There were guys that would never, for example, read something for pleasure to save their lives. I mean, the idea that they would read something for pleasure would be ridiculous. If you ask them what they read, they might squint real hard and come up with like comic books or maybe Sports Illustrated or something. They don't read books. And I sound like a real elitist right now, but there's different kinds of people with different interests. And back in the day, you're kind of nerdier, somewhat more intellectual types would be playing computer games, possibly. If we didn't have Madden, we didn't have the various first-person shooters that are popular now, which range wildly in how sophisticated they are, and talking about, are they being really realistic looks at war, or are they making a big deal of how realistic they are when in fact they're ridiculous in what a character can do, and blah 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 blah. And you've got stuff like Mass Effect, where there's this huge amount of back catalog of backstory about the races that you can read, but it's all optional. You can just charge through and gun your way through the game if you want to, and you don't have to hear about the story. It's one of the things I really like about Mass Effect, actually. There's a rich world to explore if you're interested, but it's entirely optional. But computer games back in this day, and we're off on a big tangent now, but I'll steer it back here in a moment. Computer games back then were pretty much for nerds and intellectuals, and nerds and intellectuals tend to be kind of left-leaning by the standards of American political discourse, where American political discourse has probably the narrowest spectrum of acceptable public opinion of anywhere in the world, compared to Europe, when you have legitimate fascists and legitimate communists who are actually standing for election. In America, our political spectrum of what you're allowed to proclaim in public is pretty narrow, but still, left and the right have their differences, and your computer gamers tended to be a pretty liberal bunch. So I was kind of thinking pretty early on, when they had the Southern guy who mentions God at the end of his speech and talks about everyone's right to own a firearm has a plan for our future. I was thinking it probably wouldn't be all that good. Bringing back the draft, that's a pretty telling sign for, I'm going on a limb and saying Moretzky's probably a little bit of a lefty. And yeah, we just went to visit our wife in the apartment. We don't know where our 11-year-old son is, presumably at school, although I don't think we saw him in elementary school. It was a high school. We could go look and see if he's there. But Border Security Force officers, which are sort of a new wing of the military, kicked down our doors with their guns, presumably loaded and ready to fire, tore up the apartment. Let's look around before we... I'll put record back on for a moment. Look around. Jill is huddled in the corner crying. The bedroom is very messy after the raid. The bathroom is messy after the raid. Record off. Okay, yeah. There is a lasting... I think if I didn't get around to going into those rooms, but if I had... I don't think... open the bureau. There's nothing interesting in the drawer. In the interest of tidiness, you close it again. Yeah... I don't think the description would have said it was messy after the BSF raid, before the BSF raid took place. But, yeah, we just popped by the house during the middle of the afternoon here to talk to the wife, and fascist police thugs tore apart our place. So that would be, to me, a suggestion that the plan is having some unintended side effects. Now, you could... I don't know. I mean, when we were reading the current events in library mode in the past, they were saying that nuclear weapons, there was a threat of the East Bloc countries smuggling in nuclear weapons. Maybe it's just a coincidence that in 2051, we can't spend more than 3 or 4 turns in our home before it gets raided by the police. Maybe that kind of thing happened in 2041, too. It was our neighbors and not us that time. I don't know. Seems to me, though, things not going all that great. I don't know. Anyway, I'm really drawing this out, so we're going to go ahead and call it a video. Apologies for all my ranting and going off topic, but I have the feeling that this is the first of many nasty little things that we're going to come across in 2051. I hope you'll stick with me while I continue exploring 2051. This has been Mysterious JG. I want to thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.